Ready? My name's Bobo. I'm a recovered addict, alcoholic. This is Real Raw and Recovered. My cameraman is my brother Justin S. We are here at the treatment center that we both work at and provide a service for, but I can't tell you their name. We want to take this opportunity to ask you guys, and if you're being helped by these videos, to subscribe. If these are companions to your trip through the step work to get connected to a power greater than yourself, then subscribe, share them with other people. We only wish to be helpful. We're not saying that the way we do it is the only way it can be done. We're just sharing that this is the only way that it's worked for us. That's all we're saying. So we're going to take a little adventure into step 4, which is we made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. And step 4, it seems to be a very intimidating step for a lot of people. A lot of people have a lot of trouble when they get to this part, and I'd like to clear the air on some of the fears surrounding it. And I'd also like to take the time to back up enough into step 3 to gather our momentum to go into step 4. So in step 3, we finally get introduced to the problem. Alcohol, drugs have been a problem. Obviously, it has stolen everything. It has made me restless, irritable, discontented, unsatisfied, and all kind of remorse, self-pity, shame, guilt, humiliation. It has deprived me of freedom. It had deprived me of relationships. It had destroyed everything. So indeed, my active alcoholism and drug addiction is indeed a problem, a very bad problem. And yet, after going through the doctor's opinion, Bill's story, there is a solution, more about alcoholism, and we agnostic, we don't find out what the problem is until we get to the 5th chapter of Alcoholics Anonymous, how it works. In the chapter on how it works, when you get to page 60, it starts off by saying our description of the alcoholic, the chapter to the agnostic, and our personal adventures before and after make clear 3 pertinent ideas. A, that we were alcoholic and could not manage our own lives. B, that probably no human power could have relieved our alcoholism. And C, that God could and would if he was sought. Being convinced of those 3 pertinent ideas, we were at step 3, which is that we decided to turn our will and our life over to God as we understood it. Now, just what do we mean by that, and just what do we do? The very first requirement of step 3 is that I be convinced that any life run on self-will can hardly be a success. Which is to say that anything that I do independently, without any concern for how God would have me do it, anything that I do all by myself, that I'm not humble and fearless enough to seek counsel, anything that I do just for self-gratification all by myself is going to fail. It's going to fucking fail. Not only is it going to fail, but even if I actually acquire what I'm after, I'm going to be dissatisfied. I'm going to be discontented. I'm going to be irritable and restless. I'm going to be uneasy in my own skin because I am still exercising what the problem is. So since self is my problem, is the problem, not just the fact that I can't successfully use, control, and enjoy it, but when I'm not using, controlling, and enjoying it, when I'm not using it, when I've stopped, I now get a taste of the problem that makes me go ziggity boom, right? I've now experienced how uncomfortable it is to just live life in life's terms. I now know that I have way too much work to do in this life to be done and to be born or bear all by myself. It is way too much. And I've got to concede or be convinced that any life run on this principle is going to fail. So the introduction to the fact that selfishness and self-centeredness is on page 62. It says, selfishness, self-centeredness, that we think is the root of our troubles. We're driven by 100 forms of fear, self-delusion, self-seeking, and self-pity. We step on the toes of our fellows and they retaliate. Sometimes they hurt us, seemingly without provocation. But we invariably find that at some time in the past, we have made decisions based on self, which later place us in a position to be hurt. And so they're already here in step 3, beginning to tell me something about resentments, being hurt, having stepped on people's toes, having a negative effect on the people around me because I'm making decisions based on self that's placing me in a position to be hurt. And I've got to try to retain this idea and work the steps in the fluid motion, so when I come out of step 3, I should be interested in seeing me as I am. So it goes into some details to show me exactly how self shows up. Back on page 60, the first requirement is that I be convinced that any life run on self-will can hardly be a success. That's to say that any life ran by me, done all by myself, independently of God, without any faith, dependence, reliance on a power greater than myself, and without any willingness to seek counsel from other people who are connected to a power greater than themselves, it's going to fail. On that basis of running life independently of God and counsel, we are almost always in collision with something or somebody, even though our motives are good. Then it drops down and it says, most people, not just alcoholics, almost everybody in the world has the same agenda. Almost everybody in the world believes that success has everything to do with getting what the fuck you want when you want it. And now everybody doesn't have the same symptoms, meaning other people who are just as selfish and self-centered don't go to the dope house when their restless, irritable, and discontentedness is overwhelming. Maybe they go see the psychiatrist and get some psych meds. Maybe they're able to join a fellowship and have some decent friendship and better counsel. But what I, as a real alcoholic and an addict, do is I will become so miserable that I can't bring it into my consciousness with sufficient force. The memory of the humiliation and suffering from a week or a month ago, which is page 24, and I'm without defense against the first drink. So I'll get so miserable behind trying to play God and run the show that I'll have to go get me some dope. So it's telling me that most people live by self-propulsion. It's telling me that each person is like an actor who wants to run the whole show. It's telling me that I like to try to arrange the lights, the show, the ballet, the scenery, and the rest of the players in my own way. If only my arrangements would stay put, if only people would do as I wish, the show would be great. It also tells me that I'm in the practice of displaying some bullshit virtue, meaning I'll be, in trying to make these arrangements, I may sometimes be quite virtuous. I may be kind, considerate, patient, generous, even modest, and self-sacrificing. On the other hand, I may be mean, egotistical, selfish, and dishonest. Obviously, those things are easily noted as being wrong, but what is hard for me to see is that the principle of catching more bees with honey, to get what I want, to be nice to get what I want, to give to be what I want, to pretend to be something that I'm not to get what I want, is not virtue, it's manipulation. And it's telling me that this is full blown in me because I'm self-will run riot, though I usually don't think so. Then it gets down here and it says that life ain't gonna do what the hell I wanted to do. It said what usually happens, the show doesn't come off very well. He begins to think that life doesn't treat him right. I decide to exert myself more. That's that self-propulsion, trying to run the show, trying to arrange life to suit myself, trying to man up, pull myself up by my bootstraps and make shit happen the way I think it ought to happen. It said he becomes on the next occasion still more demanding and gracious as the case may be, still the play doesn't suit him. Admitting he may be somewhat at fault, he is sure that others are more to blame. He becomes angry, indignant, self-pitying. What is his basic trouble? Is he not really a self-seeker even when trying to be kind? Is he not a victim of the delusion that he can wrest satisfaction and happiness out of this world if he only manages well? Let's talk about that for a minute. So this delusion that I can wrest satisfaction and happiness out of this world if I manage well is like destinational happiness. It's almost like I make this pact with this futuristic idea of being happy and satisfied with something that's up the road, that's what's gonna satisfy me and make me happy. And so I almost without knowing it, decide that I'm not gonna be happy now until I get that. And it's a very delusional idea because we were trained that from youth that, you know, I'm not gonna be happy till I get the house with the white picket fence, or I'm not gonna be happy until I get the Baywatch wife. I'm not gonna be happy until I get the better job, or, you know, as soon as I get that new car, I'm gonna be happy. As soon as I can get this bitch to shut up, or as soon as I get this dude to do his fucking job, or as soon as you know, I've always got these fucking opinions and complaints about all these different things. And then it drops down to another part where it starts talking about my opinion. It says our actor is self-centered, egocentric, as people like to call it nowadays. He is like the retired businessman who lulls in the Florida sunshine in the winter, complaining of the sad state of the nation. The minister who sighs over the sins of the 20th century, like his ass ain't got no motherfucking sins. The politician or reformers who are sure all would be utopia if the rest of the world would only behave like their ass ain't doing no fucking up and ain't causing no disturbances. The outlaw safecracker who thinks society is wrong, and the alcoholic who has lost all and is locked up. Whatever our protestations, are not most of us concerned with ourselves, our resentments, or our self-pity. Selfishness, self-centeredness, that we think is the root of our trouble. So it go down here, so our troubles we think are basically of our own making. They arise out of ourselves, and the alcoholic is an extreme example of self-will run riot, though he usually doesn't think so. And then it drops down that neither could we reduce ourselves in this much by wishing to try on our own power. We had to have God's help. This is the how and why of it. First of all, we had to quit playing God. It didn't work. Then we get down here and we do this prayer and we make this agreement. Religious people will call it a covenant. We'll call it a decision to turn our will and our life over to the power of God. Remember, the first requirement is that I be convinced that any life run by me will fail. Any life run on self can hardly be a success. So now I've been introduced to my problem, and my problem is me. Step 1, step 2, and step 3 required no work. Step 1, step 2, step 3 done a lot of educating me on what is the facts about alcoholism, about God is real, and he can and will, if he sought, do for me what I can't do for myself. And step 3 begins by telling me that I need to be opposed to running the show. I need to have revelation. I need to have some kind of conviction about how I've been showing up, because I am the author of my own misery. It is my fault. This is of my making. I have caused all this stuff to go on. So we're gearing up for step 4. We've got this vague idea of how we've been running the show and why it's continued to fail, why it's unsuccessful. And now I'm ready to launch out on a course of rigorous action, the first step. So this is the first action step, of which is a personal house cleaning, which many of us had never attempted, though our decision was a vital and crucial step, that's to turn our will and life over to God. It could have little permanent effect unless at once followed by a strenuous effort to face and be rid of the things in ourselves which had been blocking us. Our liquor was but a symptom. It was a problem, it was not the problem. So we had to get down to causes and conditions. Therefore, we started upon a personal inventory. This was step 4. A business which takes no regular inventory usually goes broke. Taking a commercial inventory is a fact-finding and fact-facing process. It is an effort to discover the truth about the stock in trade. One object is to disclose damaged or unsalable goods, to get rid of them promptly and without regret. If the owner of the business is to be successful, he cannot fool himself about values. We did exactly the same thing with our lives. We took stock honestly. First, we searched out the flaws in our makeup, which caused our failure. Being convinced that self, manifested in various ways, was what had defeated us, we considered its common manifestations. Resentment is the #1 offender. It destroys more alcoholics than anything else. From it stems all forms of spiritual disease. For we have been not only mentally and physically ill, we have been spiritually sick. When the spiritual malady is overcome, the spiritual sickness of playing God, the spiritual sickness of trying to run the show, the spiritual sickness of living by self-propulsion, the spiritual sickness of being under the delusion that I'm going to be happy and satisfied if I manage well, the spiritual sickness of putting on fake virtues to try to get what I want. Self-will run riot. Selfishness and self-centeredness is the root of my trouble, and it's a spiritual sickness, and I'm going to need God's help to be rid of this selfishness. I must, or it kills me. God makes that possible, and there seems no way of entirely getting rid of self without his aid. So resentment is the number one offender. It destroys more alcoholics than anything else. In dealing with resentments, we set them on paper. We listed people, institutions, or principles with whom we were angry. We asked ourselves why we were angry. In most cases, it was found that our self-esteem was our pocketbook, our ambitions, our personal relationships, including sex, were hurt or threatened. So we were sore. We were burned up. On our grudge list, which implies that we write this list first. On our grudge list, we set opposite each name our injuries. So here we go. When somebody's doing the 4-step and they're not in a protected environment or in a treatment center, I will show you the way that seems to get more results safely without a relapse than to just do it any way you want. So first off, we make a list, our grudge list. So first thing, this is the who. It's just, can it be seen?
Yep.
This is the who. That's the cause. That's the effect.
Oh, yeah,
so first thing first. So let's take an example. The easiest thing for a junkie or an alcoholic to do is put down who the fuck they mad at. It's the easiest, most dope-fiend fucking thing there is. To see that others is wrong was as far as most of us ever got. If somebody rubs you wrong, or some principle rubs you wrong, or some institution rubs you wrong, you fucking know it. If you hate Republicans, goddammit, you know it. If you hate Democrats, you fucking know it. If you hate men, you hate women, you don't like your mama, you don't like it, you fucking know it. You don't like your job, you don't like jail, you don't like the police, you fucking know it. Whoever rubs you wrong, whatever it is that disturbs you, is the grudge list. So let's start out right here. Let's say police, right? Now, for an example, let's say you get you one of these. You get your brand new notebook, like the little cheap one with the little spiral metal, right? And you turn that joker sideways like this, and you do a column at a time. You don't go from left to right, the person, the cause, the effect. You go a column at a time, just like this. So you got this blank piece of paper. And then just write police. Then on the next page, you put the next person. If it's your mom, you want to put that in parentheses, because what we tend to do is we tend to judge a person according to the role they're assigned in our life. When somebody has a role of importance in my life, I tend to have a Superman, Superwoman kind of view of that role, which does not allow them to be human. And so I need to put my mother's name so that she can be allowed to have flaws and shortcomings and be sick like I am, rather than just putting mom, put their name, the person they are, right? And then I would keep going. Then I will keep going. So what we would do was we would go right down. We'll get back to the beginning here. We would make our grudge list first. We would go straight down the list. We would, on this page, this whole sheet, front and back, has nothing on it but the police. On this page, front and back, should be nothing on there but Renee.
Unless you ran out of room for police and you got to put another page down.
I mean, but ain't no running out of room when you just putting the person. We ain't talking about what they did at all. At all. We're not even on that part. Fuck column 2 and 3. We're on column 1. This is the easiest shit in the world for the dolphin to say who they're upset with. It ain't nothing complicated about it at all. And you go right on down the list. So you can have this whole fucking column done in a matter of 10, 15 minutes. So the second person is on this page. Then the next person get a whole page of his own. Daddy Bobo, right? Then the next person. So hopefully you get the point that you put your grudge list first. See? And so, then what we want to do, on our grudge list, after you got, this is on the page, this is on the page, Daddy Bobo on the page, Sydney's on the page. So now, the page. This is one page, one resentment, one page. Now, after I've gotten my whole grudge list down, then I would start on my cause list. What? You think that's complicated? Hell no. The only thing complicated about the cause is that my sick ass tend to make shit be worse than what it really is. So I want to pinpoint exactly what the offense is. Let's say, arrested me for nothing. So the cause is arrested me for nothing, seemed to treat me like a threat when I'm not. And so, and we would do the same thing on the next page for the next resentment. Go all the way back to the front. So we would actually finish column 2 along the lines of each this is Renee. Introduce me to weed. Am I spelling it right? The Mary?
M-A-R-I-D, yeah.
Look great.
And these are real for you, huh? This is off your inventory, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are real. These were actually on. It was on my first one though. It wasn't on my last one because obviously the whole objective was to master these resentments, and that was acquired. And so when I got to the place where I saw my part in it, and I saw the need for God to, to forgive them or let them off off the hook or master the resentment, then that's really what happened. Okay, so here we go. So if you're keeping up with what I'm saying, you do one column first, nothing but your grudge list, nothing but who you got to complain against. Once you get that all down, one name, one principle, one institution on each page. On each page, one person, one principle, one institution, whatever rubs me wrong. And then we do column 2. Along the side of each one, we name the offense. What is it that they've done? And we want it to be pinpointed. We don't want to have a bunch of excuses trying to defend why I'm upset in the middle of the cause. Just say what the fuck they did. That's it. That's all cut and dry. No problem. That should come off pretty easy. In doing it this way, if within a matter of an hour and a half, I can have the whole grudge list, and I can, alongside of each one, I can have everything that offended me, the cause, in a couple of hours. Yeah. Couple of fucking hours. Now, then we go to column 3 and talk about how it affects me. Right? For each one of the offenses, for each one of the people who are on my grudge list. So I'm going to reacquaint myself with the person, cause, what they did, and then I'm going to ask myself how it affects me. Right? On our grudge list, we set opposite each name our injury. That's the cause. Was it our self-esteem, our security, our ambition, our personal relation, or sex relations which had been interfered with? We were usually as definite as this example. Okay, so now basically I'm trying to look at mom as a person that has shortcomings. And I'm just trying to let her be human, and I'm going to look at these things that were done that offended me. Okay, so introduce me to weed affects my, what? This shit affects everything. Yeah. It affects my personal relations.
And I don't know if this helps or not, but I try to guide my guys whenever I'm walking them through this. Don't try to make one be first. Like whichever one is affected, write that shit first.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if your security's affected first, fuck it, write it. Don't say, well, logically my personal relationships are affected.
Yeah.
No, whatever comes to your heart, man, just get that shit out.
So pocketbook.
Security.
Definitely. Security. Ambition.
Yeah.
Alright, then married a drug addict, oh that fuck with everything.
Shit.
Personal relationship. Ambition. Self-esteem.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's probably huge.
What else? See, you see how it's getting more and more complicated? This was easy. Get that out the way. This was even easy. I mean, I have to make sure that I'm not souping it the fuck up. You know how I don't feel every time you tell the goddamn story, you tell it better the next time. I don't want to be guilty of that. I want it cut and dry exactly what they did and offended me. And then when I get here, because this is kind of like getting in touch with my feelings about what was affected, which is generally hard for a drug addict to actually say how it rubbed him wrong, where it affected me. Okay, so this used to choose him over us. This was personal relation. Ambition.
Can I say something on that?
Yeah.
So also, I feel like weird talking behind the camera. So also for a dope fiend like myself, man, I didn't understand how to get in touch with this.
Right.
So like I had to have somebody kind of explain like what they mean, and then after I did like 3 or 4, like I started to actually get an understanding of like how shit affects me.
Yeah.
And it's fucking huge. Like I was able to like correlate, hey, this affected this part of my fucking emotional gambit. You know what I mean? Because most of the time you get a motherfucker that's been using for 20 years, they don't know what the hell their feelings and emotions are, how they're connected.
Stir it up, you know? So it's another good reason to have a sponsor. I mean, but if in fact you're in one of those situations where you don't have a sponsor, then the book worked. I don't recommend doing it by yourself, but the book worked. When the book was printed, there was only 3 groups in the whole country. And people did what the book said, the precise instructions, and they got recovered, and they found somebody to help, and then groups spawn up from there. So it'll work. And what we're trying to do with this video is we're just trying to assist you with the book, with your sponsor. Hopefully, if you're hopelessly dependent, that you go get treatment and detox and get started on the work, and maybe this can aid you. So, where we at on time?
30 minutes.
Oh, bad. So, I guess we'll spend a little time explaining some of this effects. Okay, so in the book, it's given some examples. It says, I'm resentful at, that's column 1. Remember you made that list first, all the way down, a page apiece. Then it says, Mr. Brown, and then the cause is his attention to my wife. Obviously, that's going to affect his sex relations with his wife, and it affects his self-esteem, and it's got fear bracketed, because he's scared he might lose his wife. Maybe internally he's challenged, and he thinks the guy who's showing attention to his wife is more attractive to his wife. He might have all kind of complexes. Then he told my wife of my mistress, so now sex relations, self-esteem, fear. Brown may get my job at the office. Remember, these resentments can be fancy to real. I mean, he's just imagining the guy might get his job. He don't know the guy gonna get his job, so he's afraid of some shit that might not even happen. Then it talks about Mrs. Jones. She's a nut. She snubbed me. She committed her husband for drinking. He's my friend. She's a gossip. It affected his personal relationship, self-esteem, and fear. Then there was my employer. Is unreasonable, unjust, overbearing, threatens to fire me for drinking and padding my expense account. Then it's his wife, misunderstands and nags, likes Brown, wants house put in her name. So his pride, his personal relations and sex relations, security and fear. Okay, so we went back through our lives, nothing counting. Okay. So let me show you something.
Now the good shit.
Yeah, let me show you something.
Hit him with that okie doke.
So, on this side of the page, we'll have the person. Then on this side, we'll also have the cause. And on this side, we'll also have the effects. And we would have, let me see. So we would have the person, we would have the cause, what they did, then we would have the effects, what it affects, whether it be personal relations, sex relations, pride, self-esteem, security, pocketbook, ambition, causes me fear, whatever it is, however that offense affected me. And all of that is on this side of the paper. Now we're about to go into the fourth column. And the book says, we went back through our lives, nothing counted but thoroughness and honesty. And that's why I said in the cause, we needed to make sure that we only said flatly what was done, rather than all of the way we create and soup some shit up and make it sound like a good fucking story where we were just so wrongly treated. When we were finished, we considered it carefully. The first thing apparent was that this world and its people were often quite wrong. To conclude that others were wrong was as far as most of us ever got. I am still completely and hopelessly nothing more than a fucking active dope fiend if all I'm doing is still blaming somebody else for what's been done to me. If I have never once considered anything other than how I feel it, how I see it, and what I think about it, then I'm completely selfish and self-centered and inconsiderate and dishonest because I played a part somewhere. It says, the usual outcome was that people continued to wrong us and we stayed sore. Sometimes it was remorse and then we were sore at ourselves. But the more we fought and tried to have our own way, there it is again, my own way, the worse matters got. As in war, the victor only seemed to win. Our moments of triumph were short-lived. It is plain that a life which includes deep resentments leads only to futility and unhappiness. To the precise extent that we permit these, do we squander the hours that might have been worthwhile. But with the alcoholic whose hope is in the maintenance and growth of a spiritual experience, this business of resentment is infinitely grave. We found that it is fatal. For when harboring such feelings, we shut ourselves off from the sunlight of the spirit. The insanity of alcohol returns and we drink again. And with us, to drink or use dope is to die. If we were to live, now here comes the objective. Once again, this is why we're doing the 4-step. If we were to live, we had to be free of anger. The grouch and the brainstorm were not for us. They may be the dubious luxuries of normal men, but for alcoholic, these things are poison. Which basically says, without using the word forgiveness, it says that I've got to forgive and let it go. I've got to think outside of simply seeing it the way I see it and only considering how I felt as a result of it. And I've got to take it up as my own personal agenda to find out what part I played in it so that I can stop playing that part for one, and then two, so that I can see that I have just as much responsibility in this problem as the person who I have a problem with. Because if I don't bear the guilt of the part I played, there's no way out. I just stay locked into that self-centered view of how I felt behind how I was treated. We turned back the list, for it held the key to the future. We were prepared to look at it from an entirely different angle. We began to see that the world and its people really dominated us. In that state, the wrongdoings of others, fancied or real, imagined or really facts, made up in my own fucking mind or it actually happened. It don't make no difference. If I still feel fucked up about it, it still threatens my serenity. And if it threatens my serenity, it threatens my sobriety. So if I ain't willing to look at it from a totally different point of view and let it go, then this shit will continue to hunt me and I'll squander the hours that could have been worthwhile. Harboring such feelings like this may be something that normal people can do, but I can't. It's the luxury, the dubious luxuries of normal men. I can't indulge. We saw that these resentments must be mastered, but how? We could not wish them away any more than alcohol. So this was our course. We realized that the people who wronged us were perhaps spiritually sick. Though we did not like their symptoms and the way these disturbed us, they, like ourselves, were sick too. We asked God to help us show them the same tolerance, pity, and patience that we would cheerfully grant a sick friend. When a person offended, we said to ourselves, this is a sick man. How can I be helpful to him? God save me from being angry. Thy will be done. And so exactly what just got said right there. What just got said right there is, I've got to let this shit go. I've got to figure out a way to see that they, just like me, is sick, very sick, and I want mercy. I want forgiveness.
No shit.
I want grace. I want somebody to be patient with me and tolerant and show some pity when I'm in my shit. And now, see, to think and only consider how I felt is completely self-centered. For instance, and we're gonna journey off of
the beaten path.
for a second. I'll give you an example. Let's say we got one of these complicated issues where the person, let's say this uncle, and of course that's a title, that's a role assigned. We want him to just be human. Let's say Randy. Right? Now, let's say Randy molested me. Right? So I'll just simply say, would it be?
M-O.
Molested, yeah. Right? And that affects my what?
Fucking everything.
Security, self-esteem. Pride, sex relations.
Yeah, I was gonna say sex relations for sure. All lines get blurred.
Ambition, self-esteem. It'll fuck you up, right? All right? And now, watch this. When we get to the fourth column, there is absolutely no way that this 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 7-year-old, 8-year-old boy or person could take the blame for starting this ball rolling.
Yeah.
And yet, to retain the resentment and to grow sick in self-righteous indignation is to sign my own death warrant. And so I still have to master this resentment, fancy the real, this being a real one, and I still have to try to figure out what part I play in it. I may not have a part to initiate or instigate or start this resentment, but I damn sure have a part in keeping it going.
Yeah.
I have a part in keeping it going. So what I want to do is I want to get over to the fourth column. I'm going to leave this one up here for a minute. Well, how many minutes is that?
Man, we got 18 minutes left.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we're good.
All right. So, referring to page 67, referring to our list again, putting out of our minds the wrongs others had done, we resolutely look for our own mistakes. Where have we been selfish, dishonest, self-seeking, frightened? Right? So down here, this has nothing to do with that resentment. I'm going to come back to that one towards the end. I just wanted one of them impossible resentments on the board to help the people that's got them kind of issues. But this that's up here right now has nothing to do with what I'm doing down here at the bottom for the time being. So down here, this is something else. Block that out for a minute. We're on this. And we're on the part where it says, putting out of our mind
Wrongdoings.
Referring to the list again, putting out of our mind the wrong others had done, we resolutely look for our own mistakes. Where have we been selfish? So on this page that had the person, the cause, the effects, we're going to put it out of our mind because it's all the way on the other side of the paper. We're going to use this side of the paper to see why I set the ball rolling. Where was I selfish, inconsiderate, dishonest, and self-seeking? Where was I selfish, dishonest, self-seeking, or frightened? Though a situation had not been entirely our fault, kind of like this resentment, this is no fault at all of the child's, and yet I still have to master this resentment So once I get down to the fourth column, it's no longer talking about who did it, what they did, or how it affected me. I am now and only now looking for the part I played in either starting the shit, which the child couldn't have started this, or how did I keep the shit going? So let's go back to the police, right? So here's the police. Of course, they
hemmed you up for nothing.
Hemmed me up for nothing. Then, it affects my security because they lock me up. My self-esteem, pride, fear, let me dodge them, blah, blah, fear. Okay, so basically it said, putting out of your mind the wrongs they done. What the fuck did I do? We don't want to talk about what the person did anymore. Now I want to just talk about what I did because there's no liberation in continuing to talk about what they did. To see that others was wrong as far as most of us ever got. So I want to know, where was I selfish? Where was I dishonest? Where was I self-seeking? And where was I frightened? Right? Okay, so I was selfish when dealing with the police because I thought I was above the law.
Imagine that.
I thought I was above the law. I thought that it was okay to do whatever I needed to do to take care of my family, to get what I want, and the police was the opposition. That's a very selfish and self-centered idea that's grounded in lie, right? So I was selfish in that I viewed them as the enemy, right? And there was more than that. I was dishonest because I often broke the law and they were always in the picture.
They were obliged, bro.
It was, the way I was living, it was obvious I was breaking the fucking law. And so when they would pull me over and ask me about something, or quiz me about something, or interrogate me about something, I would do nothing but get offended. Like, I dare you accuse me of such a thing. I was doing worse shit than they was even trying to bust me for. Self-seeking. Completely self-seeking. I thought that I could work a legal job, sell dope illegally, and acquire wealth on the sidelines with ill-gotten gain, and not be messed with. And so I had complete disregard for the law. I actually believed in taking care of my family no matter what the fuck I did against the law. And I was frightened because the police had the power to stop me from getting what I want. They had the ability to take me to jail, take my freedom. They had the ability to catch me with the dope, this illegal money. They had the ability to set up surveillance. They had the ability to talk to customers and get them to set me up and snitch on me. They were given the sword for a reason for those who are outside the law. A person who is obedient to the law has no reason to be afraid of the law. But I was afraid of the law because I was not obeying the law. So I had every right to be afraid because I lived contrary to the law. But I've got to see this, right? So my resentment towards the police should start to dissolve immediately when I start seeing the fucking truth about how I've been performing. So either I started the ball rolling or I kept the ball rolling. 10 minutes. So, whereas, I thought I wrote that shit down. Oh, I had wrote it on the board. Okay, so that was the police. Let's do the hard one. The hard one would be a good one to close up. Let's say, remember we had the uncle who had molested. So the person was the uncle, and his name was, what's his name? Randy. So Randy, and then the cause was molesting me, and it affected my personal relationship, sex relationship, ambition, pride, self-esteem, security, caused fear, okay? And now it says we were prepared to look at it from a totally different angle, totally different view, and so we set aside the wrongly done. This is not a acquittal. The people who done wrong, I believe that God gonna take care of them like he took care of me. I never got away with nothing. I ain't go to jail for everything, but believe me, I paid for everything I ever done wrong. I never got away with anything. And so this is not about an acquittal for a person who's really wronged you. It's about mastering the resentment. I've got to get over it. So, or I can continue to nurse that resentment. I can become more and more spiritually sick, and then I myself could turn into the very same person that I'm cursing in my self-righteous indignation. What am I saying? I'm saying that I was molested, it was not my fault, and I stayed mad, and I enjoyed being mad at anybody who would do such a thing, to the point that I started being perverted and thought that other kids need to be treated like me, and I turned into a molester.
Goes deep.
It goes deep. I can turn into the very same thing. Initially, I didn't start it. He started it. But at some point, I became responsible for keeping this shit going. And so, I've got to take a look at it, because like I said, it wasn't my fault initially. If I'm 5 years old, 6 years old, 7 years old, and I'm molested, that's obviously on the account of the adult who's supposed to be responsible. But at a later date, if I'm still rescinding these ill feelings, and I'm still harboring ill will towards that person, and I have not saw them as being sick, and I've never once considered what must have happened to this person that they could do such a thing to me, then that means I've stayed only concerned about how I felt as a result of how I was done, and I continue to perpetuate the illness. I stayed sick. So where was I selfish? I can be selfish in that I could use what happened to me as a reason to misbehave. Yeah. I could use what happened to me as a reason. Okay, so it's used the past abuse.
And really, that can fit, that one statement can fit into all three: selfish, dishonest, and self-seeking, because you're using it for gain, whether it's for pity from other people to justify you keep acting up and keep using, you know what I mean? Whereas self-seeking, to be seen as this victim, so you can just keep this victim mentality, bro.
Yeah. Keep using people. Then don't worry, what about the part where I'm frightened and I want it to be my big secret that I've been molested. I mean, I don't want it to be my big secret. I'm afraid of what that might mean or how somebody might see me if I divulge this thing. Yep. And so behind fear, maybe I'll stay sick because I don't want to talk about it. Or maybe I'll talk all the time about it, but I'll use it for manipulation to continue to get my way or to continue to have a person overlook my behavior because, oh, he was molested. such a bad thing happened to him. Man the fuck up.
Yeah.
And get over it. At some point, I'm gonna have to grow up. So self-seeking, so it kind of, I'll use the past abuse as an excuse to act out of order. It's dishonest because I'm still responsible for how I behave and how I treat other people. It's self-seeking because of the attention I'm able to get by using this.
All of the above.
All the above. And then, you know, I'm frightened. Sometimes I'm frightened not because I'm afraid that somebody will judge me. Or, you know, and it goes on and on. But beside the point, where we at on time?
5 minutes.
5 minutes. So referring to our list again, putting out of our minds the wrongs others had done. That means I'm trying to figure a way to forgive them. We resolutely look for our own mistakes. Where have we been selfish, dishonest, self-seeking, and frightened? Though a situation had not been entirely our fault, we tried to disregard the other person involved entirely. Where were we to blame? The inventory was ours, not the other man's. When we saw our faults, we listed them. We placed them before us in black and white. We admitted our wrongs honestly and were willing to set these matters straight.
I like that word resolutely. So for those of y'all who don't know the word resolutely, it means purpose driven. So you're trying to get a new action, you're trying to get a new perception on your own shit for the purpose of like gaining freedom through this.
Yeah, here's the purpose. It says, return back to the list for it held the key to the future. We were prepared to look at it from an entirely different angle. So we're trying to get a new view, a new vision, a new dose of freedom. We're trying to get to a place that whereas we're not harboring such feelings. We need to master these resentments. And I need to get free and clear of them because it's not something that I'm able to retain my sobriety or serenity with.
Yeah.
I need to know that futility, what is it, the fatality and the fatality.
Yeah. Both.
I need to know what's my responsibility in that I've stayed upset. I am not by any means saying that when something happens unexpectedly that disturbs me, I am not saying you're not entitled to feel. When something rubs you wrong, causes you fear, feel that. If something violates your space, disrespects you, you feel disrespected and you're angry, feel that. If something is done that you recall, is something that's been done to you before and you find it humiliating and you don't appreciate and don't like that, feel that. What I'm saying is you can't stay angry, afraid, and humiliated. At some point, I've got to take the responsibility to put these things down on paper, take a look at them, set aside what was done to me, and see what my responsibility is towards getting connected to a power greater than myself so that I can get over these resentments.
Yes, sir.
There's a lot of time in life that's wasted behind having and hoarding these ill feelings.
Decades.
And we squander the hours and the years and decades of being miserable, and it doesn't have to be that way. This has been part 1 of the Step 4 workshop. The next video, we're going to talk about fears, and we're going to break down the sex inventory. What we want to do is we want to make it to where it's a good companion for going through the book with a sponsor. So if you appreciate these videos, you appreciate what me and my brothers are doing, subscribe, share them, comment about them. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, if there's things that you want to see or want to hear about, please put in your input.
If you have any requests, if you want to hear of any topics discussed or talked about, or want to know how we see it now, having been enlightened by a power greater than ourselves, let us know.